Yo, what's going on? It's King Steph, and I'm coming at you with a new manga that I have been reading, and it's become one of my favorites. You know, the more it keeps going on. If you are a tournament manga or you just love fights mixed in with good character backstory, this is definitely gonna be for you. And I'm gonna be talking about Tenkaichi, whatever the rest of that name. I don't know what's going on in that name, but we just gonna call it Tenkaichi throughout the video, and I'll put the name in the description or something. That name is wow. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Off rip, like I said, if you like tournament manga, like a Record of Ragnarok, or even a character-focused martial arts battle manga like a King and Ashura, or even a Baki, Tenkaichi is the manga for you. This series does not have a designated main character, something I always find rare but cool when executed well upon. The Tenkaichi is a battle tournament manga set in the Sengoku era. The current ruler, Oda Nobunaga, is dying and he wants to pass the control over to one of the founding clans. And each clan has a representative warlord. Kind of look at these clans as kind of like companies in a way. And these clan heads, they become the new ruler, and the representative will be given the title, the strongest. The tournament fighters are primarily based on historical samurai, ninja, martial artists, with a couple non-Japanese participants like William Adams. A character like him is the standout non-Japanese character, so I'm interested to see if that becomes kind of a part of the role that he plays throughout the series. And something this series also does is they show the bracket in the tournament of who's going to be fighting off like the first 15 pages or something like that, and we get to see some of the names. Now, the one that stuck out to me was honestly Yasuke. I'm interested to see this manga's depiction of him compared to something like the anime, which I wasn't too fond of in my opinion. I feel like it could have been done better, so this will be my first time seeing or reading about this character in this type of manga format. I'm interested in that. But we have 4 characters so far that have been introduced to us. We have the Musashi Miyamoto. Obviously, if you know anything about him, he is a legendary swordsman or samurai, and he's definitely going to be one of those characters that I currently am a fan of. Hana Tadakatsu, he's like a warrior. He uses a spear / staff. I think his battle style of just being kind of raw power mixed in with a little bit of creativity is cool, and his backstory is pretty interesting because I don't know anything about the actual person, but kind of seeing, you know, his transformation from like how he used to treat himself compared to like when he becomes an avid fighter is very interesting. We obviously have Fumiko Taro, who is becoming a fan favorite among the community for obvious reasons. My name is And we have Toda Sagan, OG, honestly probably my favorite character in the series right now. He's got one of the coolest fighting styles, another samurai, and that's just to name some of the characters. And another one I want to name is, I saw his name and I know what's up, Sasaki Kojiro, another legendary samurai. He goes hand in hand with Musashi Miyamoto, so I'm kind of expecting him to interact with Musashi. You never know, even though he looks way older than Musashi, but we'll see. Obviously, if you read any type of tournament manga, you know backstories are super crucial, so you'll definitely get backstories. I think one thing this series does well is they execute the backstories in a quick manner that grabs your attention, in the sense that the backstories are actually really interesting, but they don't take too long, as it kind of makes the fight drags a little long. I know some manga kind of do that, but Tenkaichi doesn't really have that problem at all for me so far. I found all of them pretty cool. But as for the fights themselves, this is very different so far when it comes to these type styles of manga, because purely, you know, power and just the spectacle of it all is what really makes these fights, you know, stand out when it comes to like a Record of Ragnarok or like a Tokyo Duel, something of that nature. This manga specifically is about technique, emotion, raw power, you know, nothing that's like, oh, I'm about to blow the arena up or anything crazy like that. But everyone fights different, and I mean different, I mean they all have like a unique kind of style, whether it's subtle or like just something we've never seen before. I find it really cool, and something this series has done that I think, something like I said this in my Sakamoto Days review, but the settings of the fight change every match, and I'm an advocate for that. I'm all for that, because then it makes it feel way fresher and way new when the fight comes, instead of just looking at this same kind of like hard ground warrior or like temple setting that they kind of have all the time. I love the fact that it's going to change, and I think that's really going to make this stand out even more, of that, okay, we can look forward to not only the fighters and who's going to be going up against each other in the tournament, but we can also look forward to Where are they going to be fighting? What kind of fights could happen in this type of environment? It's very interesting, and I think it kind of makes the reader even more exciting. It kind of makes the reader more, you know, and it makes the reader anticipate the next fights even more. Now, like I said, this manga only has 2 fights. Now, my opinion on the first fight, I didn't have a big connection at first to both participants, because I mean, it's a new manga. Never really, you know, heard of some of these characters except for Musashi and a couple. So, you know, it literally took around like the 3rd or 4th chapter, basically around like the second half endpoint of the first fight, to where I was really starting to get invested. And then when it ended, it felt, you know, surprising to an interesting degree, because on paper it isn't really that surprising, but it was the manner of which it happened that was pretty surprising. But I think the second fight, if you're reading this, that's probably going to be the one that stands out the most, and it's probably going to be the one that makes you want to keep reading. But the contrast of the fights and the comparisons and just the different styles that culminate in all of this so far, I think it's pretty solid. I think it gets the job done. As for the potential of this manga, I think it can go pretty far. I think maybe it can get an anime adaptation. I don't know. That is specifically on like popularity and if it's going to connect with people. And then at the same time, yeah, I think most tournament manga probably don't get animated, because that's a lot of action to animate at once. So I'm not really banking on this maybe getting an anime adaptation, but if it keeps going the same way, in the same direction it's going right now, but it just keeps getting better, it could be one of those standout battle manga that I would recommend to someone. Battle seinen specifically, I would recommend to someone to just check out. Like, hey, if you just want to read some cool fights, read some cool characters, check it out. I feel like everybody's got a little bit of meathead in them to where you just want to see some raw action. So that's just what I gotta say about the series. Down in the comment section down below, let me know if I kind of entice you to want to read this, or if you have actually read this, let me know your thoughts on it down below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more anime content. I primarily do Jujutsu Kaisen content over here, so if you are a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, go ahead and subscribe. And I also got some other stuff down on the playlist. I'll holler at y'all on the next one. Peace.